HBCU on the move. These are my top 3 transfer players of the HBCU realm. We have some top athletes. So I was speaking of Eric Phoenix. Eric Phoenix, quarterback of Benedict University. To me, he was the best Division II quarterback of 2022. He has been in the transfer portal for about 2 to 3 months now. A very interesting player. Let's get into it. Now, with Eric Phoenix, you're going to get a quarterback that is very experienced, right? This quarterback who has played in a lot of SIAC football games. He's a dual threat quarterback. He has 8 touchdowns on the ground on his career. He has 32 touchdowns passing on his career. He's coming off one of his best statistical seasons and throwing for 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, and throwing for 64% completion percentage. He is one of the top quarterbacks in HBCU football. He holds a couple of offers at this point, but there are other schools I think should take a look at him. But let's talk about his offers, right? We got Virginia Union, one of the best schools in the CIAA, HBCU. We got Norfolk State, a Division I school in the MEAC, and we have another Division II school, Elizabeth City State, who offered Eric Phoenix. Now, I was early on this boat and saying that I think South Carolina State should offer him. And now understanding that Corey Fields has returned for another year at South Carolina State to go with Prometheus Franklin and Andre Washington at quarterback, the quarterback room might be a little filled, might be a little packed. Another thought that came to my mind was North Carolina A&T and what they could use at quarterback. But seeing as though they are a little messy with Eli Brickholder and Zach Yeager, that may not also be a good move. But even in taking a peek into the SWAC, there was a team that I found that looked like the perfect fit for Eric Phoenix, and that was Alabama State. Alabama State has a great defense. A great defense, led by Urshad Davis and company. They look wonderful. If you even watched the Alabama State versus Jackson State game, you would probably think that Alabama State was on the same level as Jackson State. That maybe they were also undefeated, an undefeated squad going in. Now, the difference between Alabama State and Jackson State, quite frankly, was their quarterback play. Shedeur Sanders and what he can do at quarterback, the passes that he can make at quarterback are what made Jackson State a different team last year. Demetrius Davis and his development at quarterback for Alabama State needs to improve and needs to get up to par very fast. If we're going to think of Alabama State as a competitor and as a contender in the SWAC, a quarterback like Eric Phoenix on this Alabama State team could mean big problems. I'm going to be real. It could mean big problems. We're looking at a SWAC East that is wide open. Wide open. We could say that it's Florida A&M's league to lose, but they haven't won it yet, so it's hard to give it to them. Jackson State is going through a complete rebuild. I'm sorry. As great a team they are, they're still going through a complete rebuild. We're talking about 42 players from Jackson State entered into the transfer portal. That's something to wonder about. And you have to understand replacing those players is what it's about. Not necessarily the loss, it's replacing those guys. So to me, Alabama State and this SWAC East is wide open. If Eric Phoenix would have opportunity to play for Alabama State, I could see Alabama State, quite frankly, making a run for the Celebration Bowl. We saw what Eric Phoenix could do with a great defense at Benedict down in South Carolina. And I think with a great defense at Alabama State, he could take this Alabama State team to new heights. Next up, we got Kendrell Flowers. Kendrell Flowers, speaking of South Carolina State, was a running back at South Carolina State and was the running back for South Carolina State as they were in the Celebration Bowl against Jackson State. For his career at South Carolina State, he's rushed for around 1,400 yards, around 8 touchdowns. Kendrell Flowers is a very athletic running back that runs very well between the tackles. He's a guy he's a banger. He's a banger. I'll say it like that. He's a speed guy, but he's a banger. He reads holes very well. He's very fast through holes, very elusive, and he has great acceleration. Kendrell Flowers can be a problem on really any offense. I think that he was phased out of last year's South Carolina State's offense. I think he was hurt at some point during the year and wasn't able to get back into stride. But I think with a fresh start, Kendrell Flowers could be a great piece to a winning offense. And then lastly, we got Shane Hooks. Shane Hooks is the best available HBCU athlete in the transfer portal right now. He has some of the biggest offers. His offers range from Colorado to Texas A&M to Ole Miss, Cincinnati, UNLV. That's just his top 5. He plans on announcing where he's going to commit on April 15th. But Shane Hollywood Hooks is the best available HBCU player in the transfer portal today. He can do everything at wide receiver. With his big frame at 6'3", 210 pounds, he does a lot of things you like to see from a lot of top Power 5 guys. And really, Shane Hooks looks pro-ready. A lot of plays that he makes at his size, the amount of yak that he can gain is eye-opening. It's very eye-opening. Shane Hooks is a game-breaker talent. He is a guy that you put on the field and he just makes plays consistently. He has great hands. He runs great routes, and he understands how to get open. When the ball goes into the air, he comes down with the ball. You want a guy like that. Any team wants a guy like that. Shane Hooks can provide a safety outlet for a lot of young quarterbacks. Shane Hooks can lead a wide receiving core that is in playoff contention. Shane Hooks is a rare wide receiver at lower levels of football. When we talk about FCS football, talk about Division II football, anything below Power 5. It's very rare to see a person or a player of his talent playing at an FCS school. And he dominated last year at Jackson State. And this year he's getting a lot of attention from Power 5 schools. So he'll probably end up where he wants to be. I think that Shane Hooks is probably in the same position a guy like Isaiah Land was in last year, to whereas he announced that he is in transfer portal and everybody came calling. Alabama came calling. Georgia came calling for Isaiah Land. And I think Shane Hooks, even though his offers may not be Alabama, is around that same ilk. So these are my top 3 best players in the transfer portal right now. Go get them. Coaches, what are you waiting for? Go get them. Send the offer in. Now, lastly, we'll get into